What's up everyone, and oh my god, my lip. Bit my lip in the middle of the night and now it looks like I got punched in the face. Anyways, what is up everyone? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Justin and I am a movement athlete specializing in calisthenics, gymnastics, and bouldering. So obviously, as you can tell, this is the first video on my channel and I thought long and hard about what I wanted to do for my first video. And I settled on the idea of kind of just talking about my bouldering journey. And specifically the first leg of my bouldering journey, which happened in early 2019. And I bouldered for about 6-7-ish months. And then I kind of took about 3 or 4 months off where I lost a lot of progress. But within this 6 to 7 month period, I went from a grade of V1 to V7. And I am going to be talking about the indoor grade, and I know there is a difference and that indoor is a lot softer than outdoor, but I'm going to be talking about the indoor grade simply because I had not actually climbed outdoors until pretty recently. And secondly, while indoor might be softer, I did climb at many different indoor gyms from San Francisco to Seattle to Chicago to Toronto, Canada. And I did climb at a very similar grade in all these different gyms. So there was some sort of universality there. I also did want to throw out a disclaimer there. So I know that I'm going to be talking about my journey of how I kind of got to the V7 level within 6 months, but it's not necessarily going to be a tutorial or how-to of how you can follow my footsteps, because I don't think that's the best way to go about it. And there are a few reasons for this, simply because personally for me, I came in with a lot of base strength. So because I was doing calisthenics and gymnastics for a few years before I started bouldering, I actually came in with the ability to do a 1-5 campus on the campus board. I could front lever, I could one arm pull. But on the flip side of that, I believe that I came in with too much base strength where it actually kind of hindered my progress, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So my point here is that everyone's going to be coming in with something different. Everyone has different natural abilities. Everyone has different timelines and how often they can climb. So just because I can do it in 6 months doesn't mean someone else can't do it in 3 months, and doesn't mean it's not going to take someone else 9 months. That's totally fine, and it's not about rushing your progress. But I do think that, especially looking back from now, I have a lot of insight and points into how I did progress, and hopefully each and every one of you can take something out of it. And so that's the goal with this video. I hope I accomplished this video, and I'm being attacked by my Roomba. But yeah, so I hope you can all take something out of this video. And so let's just get to it. So the first point that I want to talk about is what I talked about earlier, which was base strength. So it is my personal belief that there is actually an optimal amount of base strength that you can come into bouldering with as a beginner. And I think that there is also a point where you can come in with too much base strength. And what I mean by this is there are people who can come in who are extremely strong but never actually learn how to climb because they're just using power. And I'm sure you guys have all seen this, either like you've experienced it yourself because you used to be this, or you saw other people like this, usually kind of, bigger guys like gym bros coming in, and they're climbing like V1, V2 jugs, and they're just campusing everything and just pure pulling. And then after like 3 climbs, are burnt out. And yeah, on the flip side of this, you see like girls who a lot of times can't even do a single pull-up, climbing these V1s, V2s pretty effortlessly. And there's just a huge difference in skill there. And so I think that when you come in with too much power, you rely on your power too much, where you're kind of overlooking the technique. I'm not saying that you should not have base strength. I think it is so important that you have base strength. And I'm going to emphasize this again, where you will not progress unless you work on your base strength. There are people who will be stuck at the V4, V5 level for years because they simply just didn't train. And I'm not saying you need to go hit up a campus board or hit up a hang board and start just hanging, especially not as a beginner. I'm definitely not saying that. But I'm saying that you should have at least some benchmark fundamentals. And this definitely differs between people based on your gender, body type, weight, whatever it is. But I would say as a general rule of thumb, if you are a female, you should be aiming for about 20 push-ups, about 10 pull-ups, about 10 hanging leg raises, first to an L, but eventually you want to touch your toes to the bar. And a 1 minute hollow hold. And I know a lot of you might be unfamiliar with what a hollow hold is, so I'll throw a video in of me doing that here so you can just see the position. As a guide, I would say at least 40 push-ups, at least 10 to 15 pull-ups, once again, 10 hanging leg raises and a 1 minute hollow hold. And these are not necessarily things that I'm saying you should be coming in with, but these are goals that you should be working towards if you want to progress rapidly. This next point that I want to talk about is actually one of the things that helped me improve the most and still continues to help me improve, and that's watching others. And watching others who are stronger than you, watch them how they warm up. If they come and do your project and they flash a project, watch what they did and analyze every move and just try to emulate it within your climbing. You know, watch how they warm up and watch how their movements are so smooth. There's minimal matching being done. Their footwork is completely silent and their hips are moving left and right so they're as close to the wall as possible. Every movement is efficient, it's clean, it's smooth, and it's right. So try to emulate that, watch them, you will learn so much. And on the other side, don't just watch people in your gym, also watch YouTubers. You'll learn a lot. Watch like the more entertainment-based YouTubers, climbing YouTubers, as well as the more informational YouTubers. So some that come to mind are maybe for on the informational side, Albert Oak, Hosuk Lee, and then on the entertainment side, you know, Eric Cross of bouldering, Magnus McBo, bouldering Bo Bats, you know, just the really big ones. You'll actually learn a lot, even if it's not necessarily just purely about climbing technique. You'll learn a lot about mentality and mindset and how they approach these problems, how they think about these different things. And you'll also just like get a gauge for what really strong people can really do. And it's just kind of cool to see. I would also recommend, this is kind of its own point, but I'm gonna put it together. I would also recommend down climbing when you're warming up. Down climb everything. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn how to back flag really nicely. You'll learn how to flag really nicely and try to down climb more overhanging routes. And if you can down climb, you know, a sheer 45 overhang or more, that's really good. Your core will get so much stronger from that, and you will learn how to keep the tension in your feet as you put your foot and you move your hands down. And so you'll learn a lot by doing that. So try to do that in your climbing. My next point is to climb with intent. And it sounds a little weird, but you know, I still do this. Everyone still does this. It's just, I make this point so that you can be more conscious about it. And so you can try to climb with intent a little more. And so what I mean by this is that, you know, oftentimes someone will do a climb, they'll fall down halfway, they'll rest, and they'll get back on the climb and do the same exact thing, expecting a different result. And that's just not what's going to happen. So every time you fall, try to just take a step back and think about what you did that was wrong. Is it, you know, your angle of your body from how you were gripping the hold was off? You weren't, you know, directly under it. Your hips weren't as close to the wall. You know, maybe your hand should have been a little more left. Figure out what that is before coming to the conclusion that you're just not strong enough. Because I will guarantee you 99% of the time, the solution is not you're not strong enough. And like, yes, if you're strong enough, you could probably do it. Like if you're just so strong, you could just do it. But there's also a way to do it without being that strong. And you know, a prime example of this are, once again, if you watch females climb, there are girls that can climb much harder than me, and yet I have way more pulling power than they can, and I can do a front lever, they can't. Whatever it is, like pure strength benchmarks, I can probably beat them, but they just climb so much harder than me because one, their fingers are probably stronger than me, but also their technique is just so much better than me. And they just know how to climb better than me. Like if you fall on a climb, try not to blame the fact that you're just not strong enough. Figure out what you did wrong, get back on the wall and try to do it. It is a science experiment. You need to formulate these hypotheses and then you need to get back on the wall and test them until you eliminate it and find what works for you. And once you can do this, your climbing becomes so much more effective and dense. And so it doesn't matter if you're climbing 3 hours a day, if your climbing is just all willy-nilly, boom, get on the wall, ladder. But if everything that you're doing, if you're only climbing for half an hour a day, but in that half an hour, you're analyzing every one of your movements, you're understanding why you're doing what you're doing, it's so much more beneficial. And so just try to climb with intent. I think it's so important. This next point is something that I think is very neglected within the climbing community, at least until you get into the very upper echelons. And even then, I still see a lot of V9 plus and double digit climbers that I know that kind of neglect this fact. And it's a little weird to me. I think there are a lot of reasons for it, but it's something that has been academically and scientifically proven over and over and over again to be the single most effective thing within training and recovery, and that is nutrition, and specifically protein. So I'm not saying go out, count your macros, go on a diet, go on a caloric surplus, whatever it is. I don't care about any of that. I'm saying keep track of your protein. As a higher level athlete, you should be aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and that is ideal. And there is so much research out there that backs this up. It definitely varies, some say 0.8, some say 1.2, but most agree that 1 gram is a really nice safe zone. And so this, I will say 1 gram is only really necessary when you're climbing very hard, or if you're doing, 3, 4, 5 sessions a week. If you're doing anything less than that in the beginning, you can totally aim for 0.5, 0.8 grams. That's totally fine. And I urge you to try this just for 1 week, 2 weeks, and you will notice the biggest difference. You will notice a difference in your physique. You will notice a difference in your recovery. After a really hard session, the next day you won't feel so tired, and if you get back on the wall after it, you won't feel so dead. It makes the biggest difference, and you'll progress so much faster. How you have to think of this is like you're driving a car, and every time that you drive this car, your goal is to go as far as possible, and that's progress. And how you're going to go as far as you're just going to hold down the gas and just hold it down forever. And so you have a fuel tank that's a certain size, and this fuel tank is your recovery potential. So this is how much your body genetically can recover within a 24-hour time period, okay? But it doesn't matter how large your fuel tank is if you're never filling it up all the way. You're never utilizing your maximum potential, your recovery potential. And what fuel is protein. And so until you are filling up your fuel tank all the way, yes, you're gonna still go forward, you're still going to progress. But what you have to keep in mind is that all the progress that you made, you could have made so much more progress in the same amount of time had you been good about your nutrition and your protein. So just something to keep in mind. I urge you to just try it for 1 week, 2 weeks. I guarantee you will notice a difference. So yeah, give that out a try. My next point is to climb slab, and slab sucks. Yes, I still hate slab. I'm still trying to work on this and push myself to climb more slab, but slab is all about technique and balance and body positioning and understanding where you are on the wall. It's so key. Everything that you learn on slab, you can apply in any type of overhang. And there is a reason why girls who are usually considered to have better technique than guys are better at slabs than guys, because their technique is just so much better. So work on slabs, you'll get better technique, you'll get stronger overall, just really good. It does suck. You'll be very sad. Lots of tears will come out of your eyes. But at the end of the day, we're going for the long-term progress, not just hitting V7, but going beyond that, becoming a great climber. So climb your slabs. The pain will be worth it. I promise you, I think. I'm still kind of going through the pain, so I hope it's worth it. Okay, this next point is a little weird because I am talking about my journey to V7, but the point of this video is not telling you how to get your first V7 and then just be done. If that's your goal, sure, go for it. But the goal of this video is to kind of just give you pointers on how to progress in the long term and how to keep progressing. So my advice here is not to grade chase and to drop your ego. This was particularly hard for me in the beginning because I did come in with so much base strength. I was actually able to climb V3s and V4s. However, I was climbing with only power and no technique. I was very sloppy. And so I actually plateaued a little bit because I didn't understand how to actually climb. I only understood how to pull. And so I actually had to, take a step back and be like, okay, I actually suck. Let's go all the way back to V1. And then I, dropped my ego, asked other people to help me, asked them to teach me. And I saw so much progress. So drop your ego, don't worry so much about the grades. What you should be focused on is, can I climb something today that I could not climb yesterday? If the answer is yes, you should be happy, period. And once again, progress is not linear. It is very much sinusoidal. Work on your weaknesses, don't avoid them. And so, earthquake. This is something that I was super guilty of. I had really weak fingers, so I just avoided crimps, period. And so when I did kind of hit that V7 level, I was able to climb V7 if there were, big moves, power, blah, 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 blah. But then as soon as there were crimpy moves, you know, I'm climbing at a V4, V5 level, absolute maximum. And even now my fingers are still pretty weak. They're still suffering from, you know, my neglect previously. And so I'm working really hard to kind of improve that. If you are a static climber, try to work on more dynamic things. If you are a dynamic climber, try to work statically. My next point is to try hard things. This is a little weird because a lot of you are probably like, I do try hard things. You know, I'm a V4 or V5 climber and I climb V4, V5 things. They're at my potential. But those are not at your maximum potential. You need to try climbs where every move feels utterly impossible and feels like 120% of your maximum. Because if the moves do not feel like that, if a climb does not have every single move feel utterly impossible for you, you are not climbing at absolute maximum. And you learn a lot from climbing at absolute maximum. And so just try it once in a while. You don't have to spend like half an hour on it. Just, you know, give it a burn, give it a real burn and try different moves and you'll learn a lot, you know, and it's not just you'll learn a lot physically and you'll get better like that, but also you will gain a different type of mentality towards it, you know, because sometimes you might touch these climbs and you're like, wow, I don't even know how I'm ever going to get to this level. But then you have to think back to, you know, if you're climbing in V5 now, think back to when you were a V2, V3 climber, you probably thought the same thing about a V5. And now that you've accomplished that, how much more can you accomplish, right? What is stopping you? You thought something was impossible and then you did it. And now you think something else is impossible, just do it. Because in climbing, that's never gonna stop. You know, if you're a V7 climber, you touch a V9 climb, it's gonna feel freaking hard. And if you're a V9 climber and you touch a V11 climb, it's gonna be really hard too. It never stops, and that's part of the fun of climbing. So you just kind of have to learn to adapt your mentality around it. And you'll have so much more fun with climbing and with training, and you'll see a lot more progress as well. Okay, my last and final point is by far the most important point that I will make, and it is the key thing that has helped me improve and continues to help me improve. And that is to climb with other people who are stronger than you. So I see a lot of people who climb alone, and I highly discourage this. You know, if sure, one day a week, you know, everyone else is busy, you just have some downtime, sure, go hit up the gym, no problem. But if on the regular you are climbing alone, you are going to progress a lot slower. It is so beneficial to climb with people much stronger than you because they can point out things that you missed, that you don't even know you missed. Because you don't even know, you know, a move like that exists or a body position like that exists. So you will learn so much. And also try to climb with people who are at your level because you can also benchmark with them, you can progress with them, and it just kind of feels like you're almost on the same team almost and you're progressing together. So it's a nice feeling. So I would recommend maybe having a group that has really strong people and people at your level. You'll just learn a lot. And also make sure that, you know, because you're going to be spending so much time with these people and you're going to be taking advice from these people, like make sure you actually like these people. And I know that's a little weird, but yeah, they should not just be your climbing friends. If you're not fully comfortable around them, you actually won't progress as much, and I've kind of been in this boat for a little bit. And so just trust me on this one. I know it's weird. I know it also sounds a little more intuitive, but try to just be aware of that. But yes, climb with other people. I always try to climb with very, very strong people, and it's on one hand very humbling, and on the other hand very motivating. So I will highly recommend that. But yeah, thank you for listening to me just talk to myself for probably 20 minutes now. I have no clue. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the content. I hopefully will be posting more content in the future, unless everyone hates me, which is a total possibility. But please subscribe, like, whatever it is that actual YouTubers say. That would be fantastic because apparently it helps. So awesome. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.